Hello, David Singer. Welcome to the DoingCXRight show.
Hey, thanks, Stacy. Glad to be here. Really excited about this conversation.
Yes. Well, for those who don't know you well, but they might have seen you with a shield.
Yeah.
Can you share a bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So, I'm Dave Singer. I work for Verint Systems. I've been with them for longer than I care to recite, but you can stalk me on LinkedIn and find out exactly how long that is. And currently, I lead our global go-to-market strategy across our platform portfolio, which is why I'm really excited to be here. Our whole ethos is CX automation, like driving better, helping brands, our customers drive better CX, better capacity at a better cost. Yeah, I think it's right down the middle. Happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit about the shield you wear and what is your persona and what does it have to do with your livelihood?
Sure, absolutely. So it's funny. I've had the Captain America shield in my background for going on 15 years. But before COVID, no one knew it was there. Right? Remember, nobody came on camera before that time in 2020 when everybody went home. So all of a sudden, the cameras turn on, and people playing "What's in Your Background," and I was unique. I had a shield. So there's the two stories about it: the real one and the business one. So I'll give you both.
Yeah.
The real one is I'm a massive comic book geek, and it's cool. The business answer, which has become sort of a theme for a lot of what I do, is if you know Captain America from many of the movies or comic books, he's got some powers, but he's mainly just a really well-trained guy with a shield. So it sort of came to symbolize in what we do that anybody can be a superhero with the right training and the right tools. So I think about when you do CX right, it's about how do you give all of your employees who are dealing with your customers and impacting your customers the right training and the right tools to become CX superheroes to drive that great experience.
Well, we're going to dive deep into the CX experience. Before we do, my favorite question. If we could go back in time and talk to younger 20-year-old David Singer, what would you tell him based on what you know now?
I think the biggest thing would be, always bet on yourself, right? There's always going to be people telling you, you can't do that, or you apply for a job and you don't get it, or you apply for, a role in a play or something. And, there's lots of people willing to, turn you down or say you can't do something. So never tell yourself that, right? I think, probably like most 20-year-olds, I would say, I'd really like to do whatever, but I probably wouldn't get in. I probably wouldn't succeed. So why even go out for it? So say just never count yourself out. Always count on yourself or bet on yourself. Other people tell you no. Never tell yourself no.
I love that. And I actually am practicing betting on myself, having been only in corporate until last year.
Wow.
So 25 plus years in corporate. And I said, I'm going to bet on myself and try out this entrepreneurial journey. And now I'm in year 2, but it took betting on myself.
Yeah.
Literally.
Absolutely. And it's hard, right? I'm sure you had a lot of people telling you, oh, do you really want to do that? You've got a job, you're secure. If you do this, it's so risky, it might not. Like, sure. Lots of people say no. Say yes. Always a chance to be successful.
Yes. Well, all right. So let's talk about CX, doing customer experience right. Now, you started to talk about what that means to you.
Yeah.
Tell me more from a technology space that you're in and how that's enabling CX.
Sure. So it's, I think that technology enabling CX is much broader than people often think, right? It's, if you think about, I'm a, CX officer, you're thinking, surveys and CX measurement. But measurement's good because it tells you what to affect, what to change, what to do. So really to do CX right, it takes the full, circle of technology. You need the survey and feedback technology to understand what's going on. You need automation technology to help customers do for themselves when they want to do for themselves. You need technology to help, customer service agents and back office workers and your entire, support chain for your end customers, deliver the right thing for the customer. You need the right tools internally to measure how that's working, how that's going. And then that tells you how was the experience. And so you fix around and around and around. So when I think about, tools for delivering, CX right, it's about measurement tools. It's about self-service tools. It's about agent assistance tools or co-pilots, or sort of the nom du jour of that kind of technology. I think it's thinking about it well outside the contact center and that first line of contact to the customer, because if I call in and I do a first notice of loss for a claim, or I start a mortgage application, there's a whole bunch of the rest of the organization is going to help finish that. And my experience isn't good as a customer, as a consumer, unless all of it works right together. So I think of that technology set very, very expansively.
Yeah. All right. I want to bring back the shield for a second. People have visible and invisible shields because they're afraid of the technology.
Yeah.
How people listening to this, what do you want them to know about the fear, the shields they're holding, and how to relieve that fear?
Sure. So it's interesting. People generally are afraid of, broadly two things: afraid of change and afraid of the unknown. So I think both those play into that fear of technology. Let's deal with the change part first, right? Any change is going to be hard. And everybody goes, well, hold on. I've always done it this way, and we're doing pretty well. So let's keep doing that. So there's a big shield up about, I don't want to change because change is hard. And what if I change and I make a mistake and it gets worse, right? So I think one of the things we've seen with and one of the benefits of cloud technologies and cloud migrations is it's a lot easier to start small and then change and grow. So you don't have to change everything all at once. Let's change one thing. Let's change the next thing. And then, that one didn't work. Let's change it this way instead and go on. So I think you can deal a lot with the change of, or the fear of change, or your shield against change, by thinking about it in small steps, not about giant, giant pieces. And the second is sort of very, linked, is the fear of the unknown. And especially as there's, all this, new Gen AI and self-service technology and all this, it only had the market 2 years ago, right? Is this going to work? What's this going to do for me? And I think, again, if you come back to start small, try it in one place, try it just on one problem, and see how that goes. What we found is when people do this and when brands do this, I found some very counterintuitive results, right? So for example, one of the places we've applied, technology to help CX is in quality management, right? So you want to evaluate your employees. How do they do on the phone? How do they do in chat? And then coach them on how they do better. And so we introduced some technology that allows AI to evaluate every call, not just a human listening to one or two calls. And what we were concerned about when we launched this was the same thing that, the managers and management here at our customers thought, which is, well, how are my call center agents going to feel about being evaluated by robots, not humans? That sounds like a terrible thing. It's very different, very unknown, very scary. So they tried it out. Turns out they loved it. That was the best change for everybody. It wasn't just better for management, they got better insights. But the humans said, well, this is great. It's not that, oh, well, Stacy hates me, but she loves Bob. So of course, Bob's going to get a better evaluation than me. It became completely objective. It became very fair. It wasn't, I'm going to listen to 2 calls a week. It was every call. So there's always a subjection for coaching. It's like, yeah, sure, I did that then, but that was Wednesday and I didn't sleep Tuesday night and my son had a fever and then he was late to school. I was in a bad place. So yeah, that was Wednesday. That was a Wednesday problem, not a Dave problem, right? But now if you've evaluated everything, if you have this view, it's objective feedback, and the pushback on coaching went down. So we saw this go in. It made, the agents felt better about what's happening. Management got better insights and ability to coach. And the end customer got a better experience because the performance of the people dealing with them got better. So, long-winded way back to technology, but I think people have, shields about what they're scared of. And they're scared of change and they're scared of the unknown. So I'd say really breaking the problems, breaking everything down to smaller pieces makes it much easier to adopt without that big fear kicking in.
Yeah. I think companies ignore or shy away from that emotion, and they just want people to adopt the technology. Yet the faster path is to actually get clear on the fear, have people talking about it, and then chipping away at it so that they can let down their guard and the shields and say, okay, let's embrace, let's test it out. So I love what you're saying. And I hope companies are listening to the fact you cannot ignore the emotion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody talks about oh, you got to change people, process, and technology. Everybody's heard the
Yeah.
the trifecta of what you change. And people spend, this much time thinking about technology, this much time thinking about process, and about that much time thinking about the people, right?
Yeah.
But treat if you really think about the people who are using this and being impacted as a core part of this, it's better impacts faster. It's just, it wins all the way around.
All right. So let's say people understand, okay, conquered the fear, got to embrace the technology.
Mm-hmm.
What are the challenges you see that companies are facing in delivering customer excellence? What's getting in the way besides fear?
So there's a lot. I mean, you may have noticed that we had this weird global event about 4 years ago. Did that impact where you were?
Yes, it was a human experience.
It was a very human experience, then a very inhuman experience for a good bit of time as well. But
yes,
and we're still kind of reeling with some of the impacts of that. So, supply chains still haven't recovered fully, which means people wait longer and longer to get the services and the products they're looking for. The hiring market hasn't recovered from that. Like there was the Great Resignation, then quiet quitting. Now there's loud quitting, and there's all this. People realize that again, the old way of being employed wasn't necessarily the right thing, and it hasn't come back to to a steady. I won't say it'll go back to where it was. I don't think it was the right place, but hasn't found a steady state yet. So things are still changing there, and then you couple all that challenge with consumer expectations going up and up and up. Right? People expect. We did a survey, and the number one attribute customers have for good experience isn't. I would expect it's something like, getting the right answer. Right? Number one by a long shot was speed. It was 70%, 72% of customers said speed was the most important thing, even over it being correct. So you couple their need for a fast resolution with all these delays going on, and part of that comes from, remember in the early days of the internet? Probably not. You're way too young. But back in the early days of the internet, the conventional wisdom was the competition is only a click away. Right? You're on the website, click on the next website, and you're gone. Well, that's true in real life now as well. Right? If you go to a big box retailer and you see something you like, go, I like that, but it's not the color I want and it's too expensive. So you scan it, buy from online retail, and probably have it delivered before you get home, at least before the end of tomorrow. So now even in a brick and mortar environment, the competition is a click away. So the competition is going up. The need for fast experience and internet speed experience in real life is going up. You have all these macroeconomics going on. And you couple that, one more problem. I get so many problems. Channels are expanding, right? The number one channel for consumers is online, followed by phone, followed by digital, right? So now brands are trying to deliver these fast experiences. They're trying to get it right. Customers are coming in here. It's changing all the time, and they want to move faster. So it's really hard now. You've got to deliver excellent experience in a lot of different places with some challenging, environmentals faster than ever. So it's tough. It's really tough.
So a couple things to what you said. One is you said speed, and then you talked about quality. What a paradox, right? What a challenge that is. And I'm always in favor of quality over speed, but there is a balancing act on that.
Yeah.
So had to bring that up.
Yeah, I think balancing act is the right way to put it, right? It's got to be fast, but you can't make huge mistakes, right? It's hard. It's a really hard environment.
Well, even contact centers, for the agents, hurry, get off the phone, but making sure that the customer is happy and satisfied. So quality, but hurry, get off the phone.
Hurry off the phone. And what's really tricky there too is the more self-service happens, the harder calls, the harder chats get to the human agents. So now their average interaction time with customers or consumers is going to be longer because you don't have all those easy calls you can bang out in a minute and a half because it's just, what's my balance, status of my order, can I pay a bill? Yeah. All the easy stuff's moved off. So they're still being held to these, get off the phone fast, but what they're dealing with are the more complex, more emotionally charged conversations.
Yeah. I also smile because when you talked about the internet, I had worked at AT&T at the time where there was just dial-up.
Yeah.
And my job was telling the world, I was selling WorldNet and why dial-up to the internet was the best thing since ever. Yeah. So and my thesis for my MBA was literally called, I still have it, What is the Internet?
Wow.
In the 90s. So it's a really interesting, funny paper to read now.
Yeah.
So we talked about the problems.
Yeah.
What are some of the solutions? What can people do, not just think and talk about, for some of these problems that can improve the experiences?
Sure. So I think there's, if you look at experiences consumers have with brands, and there's broadly two big buckets in my mind, self-service and assisted serve. So self-serve, websites, web commerce is, that's pretty well understood. People are getting pretty good at that. People still hate chatbots, but I think, with the advents of Gen AI, of good knowledge management, those can become a lot better. So I think focusing on chatbot really becomes IVA, interactive virtual agent. And think of that as another digital brand ambassador versus human brand ambassador. So I think thinking about them that way and using the technology we have today to make those more engaging for what they're going to do helps.
Yeah.
But then the channel to assisted serve has to be smooth, right? We've all get stuck in the doom loops of trying to get agent, emergency, 0, right? And some branches won't let you get there, and that's not right either, right? If that's the experience people want, that's fine. And then when you get to that assisted serve, I think it's really important to take care of the agent as well as the consumer, right? Machines do some things really well. They can answer rote questions. They can complete a simple transaction, like I want to open an account, I want to pay a bill, whatever. What humans do uniquely well is create connections and express empathy and be present. So I think by using technology to lift the rote work, the repeatable work off the agent's hands, so they can use their uniquely human attributes of presence and empathy and connection to engage with the customer, and then the rest of the work is done automatically. That's when you start to deliver really amazing experiences to your customers.
Yeah. So voice of customer, we know that is a huge tool and capability to understand your customers. I remember seeing on your website a topic around the concept of moving beyond the survey.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that.
Sure. So let me ask you a question in return. Then I'll answer yours, right?
Yeah.
When you hear the word survey, what comes to mind?
Well, I have a different view with my professional hat versus my consumer hat. As a professional, I can't live without it. the outcomes and the data, the qualitative and quantitative. As a consumer, I say, oh, not one more.
Right. So, exactly. And it's because when people think survey, they're usually thinking about, I've got to fill in this form, right?
Yeah.
You get the email survey. Can you answer a few questions? And then it's either there, you get routed to another website and log in with Google and then do this. And like, I'm tired before I've even got to the questions. I had one for an airline I flew the other day. I came and it's like, we'd love your feedback to help improve our products and services. Great. I'd love better products and services too. It's like, here, please answer this short survey. It should take no more than 12 to 15 minutes of your time. Delete. I'm done. Right. So people think of these sort of active surveys, but a survey is just one way of collecting feedback. So another way is, you've seen on websites, the plus sign or the feedback sign on the right hand or left hand side of the screen.
Yes.
So now it's not, say, Stacy, answer my question. Stacy, answer my question. Stacy, answer my question. But when you have something you want to express, you can do that on of your own volition. So you get a different kind of feedback that way. In-channel feedback is really important. So if I'm on a chat, web chat session or a digital or social session, one question embedded in the conversation flow is non-intrusive. It's non-disruptive, and you can get again a higher feedback adoption because it's not a separate event going on later. And then you can start to think about things like predictive or inferred feedback. So when you've recorded every interaction going on, all the verbatims of what people said in their entire call or their chat session or whatever. So I've got, 1 million calls this month, and I got a 4% hit rate on my survey because people hate surveys. But now I've got enough to train AI. Well, on all these surveys where people answered this way, here's the kind of conversations they had. So you can create synthetic survey outputs. So now I've got my survey results on 4%. I've got digital in-channel feedback on another 7%. And I can synthesize what would people likely have scored me if they were to have filled it out on the other ones because of applying analytics and predictive behavioral. So when you do this, you can have a lot shorter surveys that go to you can sort of round robin across your customer base. You're getting survey fatigue. And inject these other feedback mechanisms and the AI and analytics to drive synthetic KPIs. So you have a ton more data while imposing less on your customers.
Yeah, I would also emphasize that people need to think about how to capture the positive feedback because people tend to, at least the survey on the side of the website, you're going there to say, I'm having a problem, I'm stuck. It's not normally like, I love your brand. So you have to, as leaders, find those moments of truth where you can capture the good feedback and then go celebrate your staff.
Yeah. 100%. And I think you've called out a really good point, right? Is people will give different kinds of feedback with different mechanisms. So you're right. I'm likely not going to check on that feedback button to say, oh my God, your website was amazing. Layout, ease of use, chef's kiss, no notes, right? But I will say I couldn't find the purchase button for half an hour. I don't know why I stuck around. So when you interpret that, you've got to understand that you're not getting a full view. It's like, okay, what bothers people? This is a good insight into that. When you see the best sort of 2-question surveys after an interaction, was your problem solved on this call? And if you were running a contact center, would you hire this agent? Right? Generally get pretty good. 2 questions, 6 seconds, people are pretty good. You'll get more positive feedback that way. There's, you see all kinds of sort of kudo boards and things are starting to come out. So I think it is very interesting to start to, how do you more deliberately gather positive feedback as well as challenging feedback?
Yes. Do you have an opinion on the NPS score is very prominent and great for people who need a place to start. That's an obvious one. I've been having a debate with someone about whether the NPS score should come first or last. Do you have an opinion on that?
So I've got opinions on a lot of things, probably not that one. I think, you see whether it's a CSAT score or NPS, or there's a few other metrics. I think they're all, they'll tell you similar kinds of things. I think, it's probably an element of organizationally, what are people going to believe, right?
Yeah.
Like people like NPS, it's a very, there's a formula, there's a science behind it. You can really explain where that goes. And just the word promoter sounds good. So there's sort of a mental thing that people latch onto. But I think there's a lot of different. I don't have an opinion on where the right place to start in CX measurement is. I wish I did.
Well, stay tuned, everyone, because I'm doing some digging on that and whether the question, you'll get a different answer if you ask it up front or at the end, because you're guiding them through other questions and it has an impact. So we'll address that on a different session here. But as we're rapid fire towards the end, I would love to know your prediction, any mega trends that you foresee coming in the new year.
So, I mean, the biggest trend's been going on that's going to continue is use of Gen AI for customer service, right? That's the biggest, fastest moving tech going on. I think what that's going to drive is the ability for brands to treat their employees more like grown-up humans and not like robots. Right? Yeah. It's going to move that robotic, tasks to the machines, and it's going to allow them to, treat their employees like grown-ups, like humans. Let them do human things, make better decisions, be more empowered, and drive better experiences.
Yeah, that's clearly important. I agree. Leadership, best leadership advice you've received or given?
How about overheard? Because the best leadership advice I got, I was sitting in the a hotel lobby one morning, this is years ago, waiting to go to a meeting. And I overheard somebody getting started as a franchisee for a fast food chain. And the interviewer asked him a question, what's the difference between management and leadership? And the candidate, word salad for 5 minutes. And the guy said, no, it's very simple. Management is about inspection. Leadership is about inspiration. And the more you inspire people, the less you need to inspect. So I try to carry that forward. I try to, as a leader, I try to inspire my team, empower them to do what's right, and it makes everything work a lot better.
Oh, I think people are going to carry that wisdom with them. That's beautiful. And finally, what is the one takeaway you want people to remember and go do?
Right. The best CX done right is CX done by people. And the better you treat your people, the more you empower them to do the right thing and treat them like grown-ups, the better experience they'll deliver your end customers. So just remember, CX isn't delivered by brands, it's delivered by people. Empower and trust your people, and you will deliver great experiences to your customers.
Well, that is a perfect conclusion to another episode. I loved having you here, sharing your wisdom, and I'll make sure that people can find you in the show notes. And thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me on, Stacy. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.